In this session, I want to talk about the third part of the 4 Immeasurables, which is compassion. So if you remember, I've spoken about equanimity, where we see everybody as equal, and this helps us to break down those barriers of discrimination that we have. I like these, I don't like these. So with equanimity, we see everybody as the same. Everybody as human beings. Then we looked at kind-heartedness, where we show kindness to people. We want people to be happy. We don't want them to go through life being sad. So we have this heartfelt wish that, everybody is happy, and we send kindness and we feel kindness. It's not just about, talking about kindness. We really feel this kindness towards people. And with compassion, so compassion again is looking at suffering. So we have an aspiration that we don't want people to suffer. The world is full of suffering. I mean, you only have to pick up a newspaper or, turn on the news to see the amount of suffering all over the world. And, we all go through suffering, whether it's emotional, psychological or physical suffering. We're all going through some kind of suffering. Even if we actually think at the moment I'm not suffering, there is some part of us that will be suffering. There will be some emotions, some thought processes. There'll be something that's going on that is causing us suffering, even if we block that suffering out. So compassion is a heartfelt wish that we can alleviate everybody's suffering. And if we can't even alleviate everybody's suffering, at least we can help to reduce it, or we won't add to their suffering. And, we have to include ourselves in that. Compassion has to really start with ourselves. So, we don't want to add to our own suffering, let alone add to other people's suffering. So compassion is this heartfelt wish that we want people to be free from suffering. It's so easy these days for us to get really wrapped up in our own little world. And particularly, when we go through difficult times, like we're going through a pandemic. So, we're thinking about ourselves, our suffering, our immediate family, our friends. And we're just focusing on that. And we're so wrapped up in that we actually forget to empathize and have compassion for all beings. So when we have compassion, it means that suffering is very vivid in our mind. It stays at the front of our mind. We want everybody to be free from suffering, and that's what drives us forward. That's our motivation. That's our inspiration, that we want to try to do our best to, if we can't alleviate people's suffering, at least we're not going to add to their suffering. So this is what compassion is about. So compassion is a verb. It's to do. It's something we need to be doing. It's not something that, we're going to be doing a meditation practice now, and it's great for building up compassion in us, making us strong. So when we do see people, we have compassion for them. So that is hugely important. But just as important is that we actually put that into practice. Because if we're just going to talk about compassion and we're just going to say, oh yes, I'm a compassionate person, look at me, and we don't do anything to help other people, then this isn't true compassion. And also, if we don't have compassion for all human beings, again, how can we say that we're compassionate? We can't. So it has to be that compassion is for all beings. Now, people are going to find that difficult, and you need to really spend some time on, reflecting over this point. But let me just explain 2 things to you. Compassion means we want people to be free from suffering. Okay? And compassion is for a person and not for their behaviour. That's the two key points here, that compassion means we don't want people to suffer. And compassion is for the person, not their behaviour. You know, the way we behave sometimes, we make mistakes, we do silly things and we change. But if we're just going to label people that they're no good because they did something wrong or they made a mistake, how are people going to change? So we're not looking at their behaviour, we're looking at these people as human beings. And we don't know what led this person up to this point where they did something wrong. We don't know their past history, we don't know their background. So how can we judge? But we do judge, and we criticise, and we discriminate. So compassion has to be for all beings. It has to be that we want all beings to be free from suffering. Sometimes that people do really bad things because they are suffering or they have suffered. I'm not saying that they should do that, but I'm just saying that, you know, that happens. That person who's done something wrong is also suffering. So don't look at behaviour, look at human beings. If you see that, if you understand that, then you can build true compassion for all beings. And remember, when we're looking at the 4 immeasurables, we're looking at the 3 different types of beings. We're looking at people we care about, we're looking at neutral, strangers, people, and we're looking at people we're having difficulty with. So we need to have compassion for all of those, not just the people we like. And also we have to make sure that we're not just giving compassion to people that, you know, help boost our ego or, you know, do something good for us, or if I give them compassion, they'll look after me. You know, it has to be a selfless thing. So I think the key things for you to reflect over on compassion here is that it means we have a heartfelt wish that everybody is alleviated from their suffering, or at least it's hugely reduced and we won't add to their suffering. And compassion is for human beings, not for behaviour. If you give it to human beings, people can change their behaviour. If you're going to discriminate, then how are people going to get the opportunity to change? How will they get that opportunity to grow? So think carefully about this, because I know that if I asked you now, are you a compassionate person? You would all say, yes, I'm so compassionate. And then if I said, what about these people here that you dislike? Are you compassionate to them? And you would probably say, no, not them, but I'm compassionate to these people. So think about that, because that appears to be discrimination and not compassion. You need to think carefully, because I know that there'll be many thoughts coming into your head. They've killed somebody, they've raped somebody, they've done this. It's behaviour. We don't know what led up to that behaviour. We don't know what caused all that. So then we must have compassion that they free themselves from this suffering and the suffering that they're causing other people. So we're going to be doing meditation practice where we can foster this compassion in our minds, where we can start to grow compassion. And the more that you do this meditation, of course, the more that compassion starts to grow inside of you. And once we finish the meditation, then I'm just going to talk a little bit about how we don't just grow compassion on the meditation cushion, how when we're out in our daily lives, how we can also build compassion for people. But we'll start off by doing the meditation practice. So I want you to just sit nice and comfortable. Put your back straight and then just drop your shoulders so you're nice and relaxed. Put your hands wherever they're going to be the most comfortable for you. And very lightly close your eyes. So we're going to start by doing 3 calming breaths just to make ourselves relaxed and comfortable. So breathe in slowly and deeply through your nose and hold the breath. And breathe the air out through your mouth. Breathe in and hold. And breathe out. Breathe in. Hold. And breathe out. And now breathe normally. And just focus your awareness on your breath moment. So compassion is the wish that others do not suffer, as well as having the aspiration to help end the suffering of others. So it's twofold. It's about wishing that other people don't suffer, and then aspiring to help to end their suffering. So compassion is a mind free from hatred and discriminating. Cultivating compassion is a wonderful source of peace and harmony in our minds. I want you to keep yourself in a relaxed state and start to picture someone who is close to you, someone you care about and are very fond of. Bring that person into the front of your mind. And just notice how that fondness feels in your heart. Notice the sensations around your heart. Perhaps you feel the sensation of warmth, openness, or even tenderness. Just focus on these feelings as you visualize the person you care about. And as you breathe out, I want you to imagine that you're sending light rays out from your heart, and these light rays hold your warm feelings and your compassion. Imagine the light rays reaching out to the person you care about, making them feel safe and free from suffering. And at the same time as you're sending out these light rays of compassion, I want you to silently recite these phrases 3 times. May you be safe. May you be free from suffering. Recite them 3 times. Now visualize someone that you neither know or dislike, a neutral person, a stranger in your life, but someone you may see on a regular basis, such as someone from work you're not familiar with, a shopkeeper, or a stranger you pass in the street. Although you're not familiar with this person, think of how this person may suffer in his or her own life. This person also may have conflicts with loved ones, or struggle with an addiction, or may have suffered an illness. Imagine a situation in which this person may have suffered. Continue to visualize this person and imagine that you're extending the light rays from your heart to them. And these light rays of compassion are easing his or her suffering. So extend the light rays out from your heart while exhaling, with the strong heartfelt wish that they be free from suffering. And whilst doing that, silently recite to him or her, "May you be safe. May you be free from suffering." Recite that 3 times. Now visualize someone you may be having difficulty with at the moment, or someone that you dislike. Bring that person into the front of your mind. Although you may have negative feelings towards this person, think of how this person has suffered in his or her own life. This person has also had conflicts with loved ones, or has dealt with failure, or become ill. Try to think of a situation in which this person may have suffered. Continue to visualize this person and imagine that you are extending the light rays of compassion from your heart to them. And these light rays are easing their suffering, making them feel safe. And continue to send these light rays of compassion, wishing that they be free from suffering. And silently recite to him or her, "May you be safe. May you be free from suffering. Recite them 3 times. Now that we're almost at the end of this meditation, let's finish off with a wish that everyone be safe and their suffering be relieved. Remember, just as you wish to have peace, joy, happiness, and be free from suffering, so do all human beings. So now just very, very slowly start to open your eyes and introduce yourself back into the outside world. So by doing a practice like this on a regular basis, by starting off with people you love, because then that gives you the benchmark. This is what it feels like to have compassion. And then look at a neutral person, a stranger. Remember, that stranger could turn into your best friend one day. And then look at the person you dislike at the moment, or somebody that you're having difficulty with. And remember, that person is just like you. They do not want to suffer. They want to be happy. They want to be safe. They want to be secure. We all do. So then we're all the same. So try to build up compassion for all 3 types of people. If you can do that, and by doing this meditation on a regular basis, it's a great win-win situation. You feel kind and compassionate, and they receive that kindness and compassion, and they feel good. So it's win-win. But you don't have to just do this on the meditation cushion. If when you're out and about in your daily life and you start to feel negative or bad thoughts about people, then just have a set phrase ready to say to yourself, something like, may you be free from suffering and may compassion arise in my heart. So each time you realize you're not compassionate about a person, just say, may you be free from suffering. Mentally say to that person, may you be free from suffering, and mean it. And just say, and may compassion arise in my heart, which helps you to build up compassion. Pick your own saying so it resonates more with you. That's just an idea. That is what's worked for me over the years when all of a sudden starting to lose my compassion. Maybe I'm hungry or I'm tired or something else is going on, and then I realize I'm not being compassionate. Then I say this phrase about wanting them to be free from suffering and wanting, really strongly wanting compassion to arise in my heart. So try out these practices and try to build compassion